it was terribly, terribly destructive.
Yeah.
Because what I felt for myself
Yeah.
was going
Right.
downhill fast.
Right. And if your parents, if your grandma, she sounds real forthright.
Oh, yeah.
Is not giving you information. I mean, that's a falsehood by omission.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so then Gloria and I have the conversation shortly afterwards.
Yeah.
Shortly afterwards.
And then I get the invitation from our friends to join the trans spouse group.
Okay.
And the first meeting they had, I go to the first meeting, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm going to this meeting, but God is calling me for some reason.
And when was this?
Pulling
Like
me.
2014?
2015.
2015. Okay.
15.
Okay. So we took a little break there to deal with some dog business. That's always the thing, right? They do not run on our schedule. We have to accommodate them.
Kind of like kids.
Yeah, kind of like kids. So you guys were getting into talking about the support groups that you had been invited to. And when did you finally go? In other words, like, did you think about it for a long time, or were you like immediately jumping in and doing it?
Well, as soon as the trans spouse group had their first meeting, I said, okay, I'm going to go see what this is all about. So that first meeting I attended, there were 6 other women, 6 to 8, other women plus the facilitator.
And this is a partners group. Partners of trans people?
Yeah, it is partners of trans people.
Mm-hmm. Great.
There were 6 partners, 7 partners plus 1 mother of a young trans boy.
Okay. Yeah, that's great, because oftentimes I was single, when I transitioned, and that was actually by choice, because I'd heard that it was such a trial also for partners. It was also their transition in many ways. So I'm so glad that they thought to have a partners group in tandem with a separate, peer support group for trans people. That's wonderful.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
It's
some good
much
activism.
needed.
That's some good activism right there.
In fact,
So how was it, by the way?
it was phenomenal.
Okay.
So at the time, my husband I did not know that it was needed for me.
Okay.
I was unaware that I was in denial that it was needed for me.
But you went anyway.
But I went anyway. I thought, well, I don't know why I'm being invited to this group, but apparently there's a reason I'm being invited to this group.
Yeah.
And I felt this tug by God to go to this group.
Oh, wow.
So I went. I listened to these women's stories, and we were there for about 3.5 hours, that first group.
Wow, that's a long time.
It was just that good.
Wow. Did you have snacks too?
We did.
Okay. Good planning. Good planning.
And so I listened to these women, and I asked all kinds of questions. I can't remember if it was the first group I came back or it was the second group. I think it was the second group. I went one more time, and after that second group, it was the following Sunday. For some reason, we started out with having them every Sunday. And after the second Sunday group, I came home and I said, honey, I get it. I said, I think I'm ready for this.
Wow.
In fact, I said, I don't think I'm ready. I know I'm ready for this.
So you remembered back to when he had brought it up and then, decided that this wasn't the time or he wasn't going to do it, but now it's the time.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely. And we had this long pillow talk conversation, and I just cried and cried and cried because I felt this horrible sense of guilt.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Because the person I love, I felt like I had stifled him for so long. And
We both cried.
Oh,
yeah.
Lots. Well, you're crying now.
Yeah, it made me feel like I hadn't loved him to my fullest and to his fullest.
Okay.
And so I felt overwhelming guilt for quite a while.
Okay.
Um,
Did that group help with that?
it did.
Okay. Great.
It did.
Great.
The group has since eventually the group dwindled down to where there was only like 3 of us coming at any point in time.
Still,
and
that's
so-
pretty good. That's
Still,
yeah.
it has since dissipated.
Okay.
However, the Diversity Center of Oklahoma, there's a place here called the Diversity Center of Oklahoma, a very large nonprofit group center
Sure.
here in Oklahoma City, and they offer a similar group.
Oh, great.
It's just a peer support. So they have, I can't remember what night it is, but it's twice a month. They have the group for the trans people, and then the group for the spouses or significant others, or it's friends, families, allies, significant others. And we all meet together first, and then we break off into our, like the trans people go into one group, and then the other group goes into their group.
Yeah, I've also been a part of groups where there was, an exclusive to trans people group, and then, later on the month, like as you're saying, they would alternate it so that anybody could come in who was like an ally or maybe a parent or a significant other, and so it would be kind of a more of a mixed group, and both of them have the. A place in the community, I feel like, to have mixed groups and also ones that are just trans people. Sometimes that group would, somebody actually similar to yourself, decided, I'm going to also start another group for parents, and so while their sons and daughters were in the trans group, they would meet with parents. And for a while, it was just a couple, but then more and more came. And even if it's just 2 people, that's still
Significant.
That's still significant. That still provides support.
It does.
So I love it that people take on their own activism. They see a need and they do it. I love that. Yeah.
And then once a month, we
Yeah.
had the ever popular
Oh, what is this?
potluck.
Potluck, of
Now,
course.
if you
got to
are
do that.
A part of the LGBT,
Right. Well, especially
to-
lesbians.
Yeah.
Also,
The
like,
lesbian potluck.
Yes,
I mean, the guys go to the bars and they go some other places too, but the lesbians have potlucks.
But we have found a place in the community here in Oklahoma City,
Great.
whether it be, especially with our church. We have found a place with our church at Church of the Open Arms.
And that's a new one. You were talking about a UCC one, and
Well,
now
Church
this
of
is
the Open Arms is also UCC.
okay.
So
but it's
we
a different UCC church.
It is. We
Okay.
actually met at Cathedral of Hope in Oklahoma City, and
Be
we
careful about the table.
we now attend Church of the Open Arms. We've been at Church of the Open Arms for about 16 years.
Oh, yeah.
We
And why did you make that change?
surprisingly, there wasn't necessarily a specific. I'll let my husband tell you
Okay,
the reason we
all
made
right.
that change.
Okay.
the people of the Church of the Open Arms that we went to, when Gloria and I got involved, all of a sudden there was a lot of gossiping.
Oh,
Church of the Open Arms or Cathedral of
Oh,
Hope?
Cathedral of Hope, I'm sorry.
Cathedral of Hope. Okay.
At the old church that we started out at,
Yeah.
Cathedral of Hope.
By the way, just as to interject, I love it that you guys met at church.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool because I sometimes give that advice to people who are, more conservative. I'm not saying that you're conservative, but people who are more conservative, or if they're religious, that's often the best place to find a partner is at church.
Yeah,
So-
and church is one of the strongholds
Yeah.
It's
of
the
our
foundation.
relation. It is
Yeah.
definitely the foundation of our relationship.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
So anyhow, when Gloria and I got together, suddenly there was a lot of gossiping about me,
Okay.
a little
And
bit of
that's
backbiting.
that's painful if you're
It
in a
is painful,
community with
especially
people.
in what you thought was a safe
loving
area,
in a loving community. Yeah.
Because at that point, I thought I was just as important and just as accepted and just
Right.
as loved as any of the others.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing all this gossiping about me, and then I'm hearing all this negative backbiting about me. And I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Okay.
We gotta leave.
But right now, currently, Church of the Open Arms and Cathedral of Hope actually share the same minister in the same building.
Okay. Great.
Here in Oklahoma City.
Great.
At different times on Sunday.
Different
Oh, I
service
see.
times.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're still two separate churches technically.
Just different congregations.
Different congregations, yeah.
There's some back and forth with. Some people go to both services.
Sure. Mhm.
Yeah. And we still have friends at Cathedral of Hope.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So no lingering bad feelings.
No, absolutely
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So, but this new church is just a better fit.
Church of the Open Arms, like I said, we've been there for 16 years.
Yeah, that's a
plus.
while.
It's just our community.
Yeah.
These people love us. They accept us. They support us. They uplift us.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Which is what a church is supposed to do, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had our legal wedding
Oh, great.
at
Church
the Church of the Open Arms.
Awesome. Do they advertise themselves as a welcoming or affirming
Oh
church,
my
by the way?
goodness, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Our minister is a very big activist
Okay.
Very
in
big.
very many facets
Okay.
of the world.
I love to see that. I love to see religious leaders going out there and being at the forefront of justice.
She
Yeah, we
walks
do-
the walk.
Yeah.
she
that's
definitely.
Right. That's right.
we do climate protests.
Okay.
We've been involved with Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
We've been involved with LGBTQ.
Yeah.
We do the Martin Luther King walk
Yeah. Yeah.
every year.
We have a food pantry.
Oh, excellent.
That's so.
Be careful
Housing.
about the table.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Housing insecure. The housing insecure population is
Yes.
my where my heart lies.
I noticed that there was quite a population here, or at
Yes.
least a visible population.
Very.
Very much.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, why is that the case?
I think because, so in my opinion,
Yeah.
we are a very Republican state.
Yes.
Sadly. And to me, our leaders here in Oklahoma don't have a focus on the housing insecure population.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So they just ignore their needs.
I'm not going to say they ignore it.
Okay.
It's more, I think they would rather throw, I think they would rather handle it in a legal way than a
Okay.
financial way.
So criminalizing it.
Yeah, they would rather criminalize it than
Yeah.
handle it.
So criminalizing people being poor.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Or mentally ill.
Right.
We have a big mental
Or-
health population,
or
mentally ill.
PTSD.
Yes.
From being like
Veterans,
a veteran.
Veterans.
Or
Right.
even sexual abuse survivors.
Right.
you
Or
know?
domestic violence
Yes.
survivors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a
What's the situation like that for that here? What kind of services
So-
do they have?
as far as domestic abuse victims, we do have. We only really have 2 different agencies that help with that. We have
Okay.
Palomar,
Okay.
which is a bigger agency, and we have the biggest agency is the YWCA.
Oh, wonderful.
However,
YWCA does a lot of great work.
they do, and they are the one that focuses more on the LGBTQ community.
Wonderful, yeah. I've had that experience as well. When I've needed help as a trans man, they've actually helped me, which is
Absolutely.
wonderful. Wonderful.
I think it's very prevalent. People don't realize how prevalent domestic violence is in the LGBTQIA community.
Yeah, right.
And I think
It's
they're
not
afraid.
taken seriously either by law enforcement in any
No.
way. I mean, we already have a problem with law enforcement not taking anybody's claims seriously, but particularly if you're part of the LGBT community, you're, forget about it.
Absolutely.
They'll laugh at you.
Absolutely. And they
Yeah.
don't realize, law enforcement doesn't realize, especially, I think it's just as bad it's bad throughout the entire United States, if
Yes.
not the world.
Yeah.
But in Oklahoma, it's even more laughed at when by law enforcement.
Yeah.
When you talk about how, because we have bad conversion therapy camps in Oklahoma.
Oh, no.
Many churches that preach
Really?
and
Conversion
support
therapy.
conversion.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
So
Some
they
of the
don't
bigger
have
churches.
So they don't have a law that protects people
No.
here. Wow.
We do not, unfortunately. And it's just, they don't think about the fact that gay men, are just as likely to be victims of domestic violence
Right.
as a woman.
Yeah. In like a heterosexual relationship.
And in
right.
a heterosexual
Yeah.
system.
Well, I think it's,
gender relationship.
across the board. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you can limit it by anybody's identity. It's about violence and control.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know the organization Free Mom Hugs. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Nope.
Free Mom Hugs.
No.
Okay.
I think I saw a picture of somebody, like a mother with like a like a sign once.
Yes.
But I didn't realize it was an organization.
It is. She is actually Sarah
say her
Cunningham.
Okay.
Say your name.
Yes, we will say her name loudly.
Okay. All right.
Proudly and
She
proudly.
and proudly.
Okay.
She's based here in Oklahoma City. She started. She was a conservative Baptist mother, and her son came out as gay.
Okay.
And when he came out as gay, she had to reevaluate her entire relationship
Sure.
with God, with herself, with her
Right.
church.
Well, that
With
sounds
her
familiar.
son.
That sounds familiar, doesn't
Yes.
it? Right.
And so she suddenly was ostracized from her church because she supported her son.
Oh, wow. So they just were like, no, you can't come in here anymore.
Yes.
Wow.
Pretty much. She lost all kinds of friends.
Right.
People she thought were friends.
Another loving community.
Yeah. And this woman Sarah showed up to her first Pride Parade in 2016, I think it was. I think she said.
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it was 2016.
Okay. So 6 or
With-
7 years ago.
Yeah, with a sign
Or 5 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago.
and a button. The button said "Free Mom Hugs."
Okay.
And a sign for her son, and she just started walking down the street saying, "Can I ask you if you would like a hug?" She's like, "I'd like to give you a mama bear hug."
Yeah. Mama
And
bears. Yeah.
these people would just walk up to her and say, "I heard you're giving out free mom hugs."
Yeah.
And these people she would hug them, and she would just hold on, and these people would just cry in her arms.
I would too.
And
totally.
it's just so I'm a free mom hugger.
Okay.
So
I'm a free dad hugger.
yeah. So now there's free dad
Now we're all
hugs
crying.
too.
What's up with that? We're all crying here. What's
So the significance of a hug, I don't know if you know what the significance of a hug is. Like, the rule of hugging is to give a good hug, you have to hug for at least 20 seconds. in order for a hug to be therapeutic.
Okay, yeah. There's something about the sympathetic nervous system that has
Yes.
to do with that, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's like how long it takes for the signal to get through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But these people would tell her, I haven't been hugged by my mom since I came out.
Yes,
I haven't
yeah.
had a hug in 5 years.
Right.
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
I haven't had a hug. One person said, I haven't had a hug in 56 years.
Oh my.
From my mom.
Wow.
From a mom.
Wow.
And it just blew my mind hearing these stories.
Yeah.
And it blew her mind.
Yeah.
So she started a nonprofit called Free Mom Hugs. It is now worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just United States. We're talking worldwide.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
There's a chapter
And that
in
it just
every
comes
state.
from,
One person.
one person's need and what they see out that in the world that needs to happen. That's lovely.
Jamie Lee Curtis. She's actually her. So Sarah Cunningham's best friend is now Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis bought the rights to Sarah's book called How We Sleep at Night.
Okay.
Sarah wrote her first book called How We Sleep at Night. It's about how do you sleep at night knowing that you have disowned your child
Yeah. Right.
because they are an LGBTQ child.
Right. And your child is a part of you.
Yes.
Came from you. How can you reject that?
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
her question
Yeah.
to parents.
Yeah.
And so Jamie Lee Curtis bought the rights to this book and it made a movie out of it.
Oh, excellent.
And it's scheduled to come out next year.
Excellent. So was Jamie Lee Curtis the producer or is she starring in
She
it?
is starring as
Oh,
Sarah.
excellent.
If you've ever seen a picture of Sarah Cunningham and Jamie Lee Curtis next
Okay.
to one another, they're identical.
Oh, great. Great. That's wonderful.
And
I love Jamie Lee Curtis.
I
so-
do too.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Totally.
We do too.
Totally.
Have
Because
for
Jamie Lee
years,
Curtis
but,
has a transgender child as
Oh,
well.
yes. Yeah, I've heard that she's been pretty vocal about that.
Yeah. And so we are big supporters of Free Mom Hugs. We are, and Free Dad Hugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he is a free dad hugger. I'm a free mom hugger.
That's awesome. I love it too that you guys are kind of like these suburbanites, living in your little community out here, and you got your glasses, and you're doing all this stuff. It's kind of low key, but it is so important,
Yes.
And I love that because it shows that anybody can be a part of this sort of change.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be crazy hair and living in some urban environment or whatever. You can be out here in the burbs. You can be in the country. There's lots of things that people can do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've been there with the crazy hair. I
Me
had
too.
shaved head for 4 years.
I did
and
too, but-
then there was the blue and the red and
Sure.
the,
Sure. Well, we both went through the 80s.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Well, this was in the 2000s.
Okay.
But
All right.
Okay, so
Well,
our
you
church,
were a late bloomer.
absolutely, in a lot of ways, our church has been a big part
Yes.
of our activism
Yeah,
and
yeah.
becoming aware
Yeah.
and
Well, good on
making a difference.
Good on those pastors that came through
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
led their flock in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And Free Mom Hugs, I mean, they have been so wonderful to us. When I started my transition and I had my first surgery, we went to Dallas so I could have top surgery.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're there, and she contacted some free moms down in Dallas. And while we were in the hospital, they would come up and bring us food or just come in and
Oh,
say,
great.
hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After I
the
got out of the
recovery is it can be very lonely and scary if you don't have people with you.
Absolutely,
Right.
Yeah.
absolutely. And when I got out of the hospital, one of the ladies had us meet her at the mall, and we went and had
Good.
dinner together.
Good.
And my recovery was not as good as it should have been,
Okay.
and we ended up having to stay in Dallas.
Okay, so you had some complications.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we had to stay there longer than we could afford.
Oh, I see.
So we had reserved the hotel for just as long as we needed.
Yeah.
So then the doctor's like, well, you really don't need to drive all the way back to Oklahoma. And at that time, did we live in Shawnee? We lived in Shawnee.
Okay.
So that's even further.
Right.
So anyhow, Sarah found a way to get us money.
Oh, wonderful. That's
So-
your pastor?
No, Sarah
Cunningham.
from Free Mom Hugs.
Oh, okay.
From Free Mom,
Founder.
from Mom Hugs. And she found some way within the organization to get it approved to get us a couple more nights.
Oh, good.
Stay at the hotel.
Good.
And the Free Moms down in Dallas brought us food, so we would have food to eat while we were at the hotel.
Yeah.
And so we got back to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think people don't realize what a financial burden it is to get surgery sometimes because I don't know what your experience was, but I put everything towards my medical care, and I was in dire poverty for about 10 years after that. You put everything toward it, especially if you don't have any kind of insurance coverage, etc.
Right.
I've been very fortunate. I've had insurance that covered most of my procedures.
Yeah. But still, you can have anesthesia costs, you can have other costs, and it can
Co-pays,
go
deductibles.
Yeah, co-pays, deductibles, and like you're saying, where you're going to stay, any kind of nursing care if there are complications, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And
And
it
that's
can run
what
into the
matters.
thousands.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, in order for us to get back
Yeah.
from Dallas, our church got up a collection for us
Oh, great.
to
Great.
help pay our gas
Yeah.
and
Wow.
transportation
You guys
back.
were running on fumes there.
We were
Yeah.
definitely running on fumes.
Wow. I'm
And
glad
we
you
were-
had some good community support there.
We have
Absolutely.
It is, for a very conservative state like
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We have an amazing LGBTQ community.
Well, in some places I noticed like this, you sometimes do have better community because people know that they have to rely on each other a little bit, Yeah.
Unfortunately, not every LGBTQ2 spirit persons get that.
Yeah, I know.
But you have to go where it's available to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to sometimes swallow your pride, maybe, or maybe not swallow your pride, but decide what's more important to you.
What exactly are you talking about?
Like going to church,
Oh, okay.
becoming a part of
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
A lot of people suffer from PTSD from church.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
From years of being kicked out of church and abuse in church.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that it's very hard for them to take that first
Oh, yeah.
step
Right.
into a so-called religious
Yeah. Well,
place.
for some people, that would be appropriate. Like if they are still believers, for instance, if they are Christian, although I'm sure other faiths, there's also that connection that they could rekindle. For some people, they're just atheist or agnostic, or they just, they feel like they don't need to go to church anymore, which, that's their choice. There's also other communities that they can get involved with, like, for instance, activist communities.
Absolutely.
Artist communities. There's
Sure.
many, chosen family, chosen friendships, rather than relying on biological family who might not, be so welcoming and that sort of thing. So there's many ways that people can do it, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
our church, I think the thing I love the most about our church specifically
Yeah.
is
The community.
it's not just a community of faith believers specifically.
Sure.
It is a community of all kinds of a mesh pot of different people.
Sure.
We have several Muslim believers. We have agnostics.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
atheists.
Oh, yeah.
We have
Catholic.
Catholics.
Yeah.
We have a couple Baptist people.
Yeah. I noticed that UCC and UU are a lot like that.
Yes.
Yeah, very welcoming
Yes.
of kind of everybody, as long as you want to be part of the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things about our church,
Uh-huh.
when you come in, one of the first things we do is no matter who you are or where you are on life's journeys, you are welcome here.
That is our saying.
Okay.
Every
That's how you open
service.
the service.
That's how we open the service.
Nice.
Yes.
So it's not all about like my experience of going to like mega churches, auditorium churches, whatever, is that the first thing is, oh, how you doing? But, open up your wallet.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
That's
It
great.
is.
That's great. I'm so glad that you guys have that. And,
Yes.
you'd think maybe not in a conservative place you wouldn't be able to find that, but here you are.
Here we
Right.
are.
And you also have the diversity center.
Yes.
Yes, and you have these peer support groups and the moms group, the hugs group, and I mean, so much is going on. It's great.
And what is Oklahoma? Not the diversity center, but
Here, I'll just turn this off for a second.
okay, yeah. Give us a minute. So there's also an organization called Freedom Oklahoma. They hosted the transgender support groups that I went to when I started my transition.
Yeah, what was that like? We didn't really touch on that. Like, what was it like stepping into a peer support group for the first time?
It was kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know enough about what lies ahead.
Yeah.
Lies ahead.
Had you ever been to sort of a group therapy?
I had.
sign up?
I'd
Okay.
been to. I'd been to group therapy. I'd been to like Codependence Anonymous,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking it was like a Codependence Anonymous
Sure,
type thing,
sure.
12-step thing. And you walk in and there's trans men, trans women dressed in different ways. The trans women, are all dolled up. The trans men are all comfortable,
Okay, you're right.
And then there were some trans men who were all dressed up, and some trans women who were just comfortable.
Yeah, right.
But they were way older than me and way younger than me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Way.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have also known some trans people who are a lot older. Like
Yeah.
even they may have started a long time ago, or they just started transitioning as an older person. I overheard one guy say, "Yeah, it's interesting thing when your first beard hairs come in, they're white."
Right.
Right? Yeah.
I get that.
yeah.
So, but yeah, my first trans support group was in 15.
15.
Is that when we met?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was 2015 when I started the going to the trans support groups. That's when I first met Sarah Cunningham. She was there
Okay.
as an ally.
Okay.
And it's to kind of talk about what she had going on.
Yeah, the hugs
Yeah.
from moms. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes, free mom hugs. And I just knew right then and there that she was going to be my mom for life.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And she makes everybody feel that way.
Yeah.
But you just get that sense from her
yeah.
that she's your mom for life.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she,
And that was a
she
free-
takes a lot of care of a lot of people, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that was at Freedom, Oklahoma. They also have
They have
book
a
signings. Yeah, they have a gallery, and they do book signings. People come out with their first books to have a party
Okay.
for their
Sure,
release.
sure.
They have a big gala every year.
Do you have a lot of local authors?
Oh,
Yes.
tons.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I think maybe with the lower cost of living here, maybe people have the time to think about doing stuff like this and maybe writing a book. In some places, I know that people flock to like the big coastal cities, but it seems like when people do that, they have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to barely get by. When is the time for art?
Yeah, exactly.
Come to a quieter place and make some art. That sounds like a smarter thing to do.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the questions, I was thinking back on one of the questions you asked earlier.
Yeah.
And you talked about why we have such a large home challenge community.
Okay.
Like you said,
A homeless community.
Homeless community,
Yeah.
yes. Like you said earlier, you would be driving in what you thought was a rural area, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's these big homes.
Yeah,
And
right.
Okay, so with Oklahoma being a highly Republican, Oklahoma being a highly Republican state,
Yeah.
in Oklahoma City in the rural area especially, a lot of the older homes are being destroyed.
Oh, no.
The smaller homes, less expensive homes, are
Okay.
being destroyed
Okay.
to make room
For-
for these multi-million-dollar mansions
Sure.
that are additions.
Okay. So like old ranch houses or something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And so a lot of that is happening, and
That's a
there-
shame because like it really changes the character of a place.
It does.
Yeah,
It does.
I think it more caters to a more transient population too. Like because a lot of these people just come in, they work a job for a while, and then maybe they move on to some other place. It's too bad that they are destroying all these old homes to do that.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, the historical homes.
Yeah.
Now they're protected.
Okay. Good.
They're protected. I mean, that's like, I don't know if it's a federal thing or just by state, but yeah, the federal homes, we've got some very wonderful old historical additions.
Okay.
But I'm talking about towards the more rural areas.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, where people have had their trailers for
Sure.
30 years,
Sure,
their
sure.
apartments, their two-bedroom homes for years.
Sure.
And then a developer comes in. Anyhow, they were thinking that this would be some wonderful scenery to build some more expensive homes.
Okay.
And more expensive homes became more expensive homes, became mansions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our ranches, you know, you have to go really way out towards the borders of Oklahoma to get much actual, real, large-size ranch homes.
Oh. Okay.
Ranch spreads.
Sure. Sure.
So
So
I think,
so Oklahoma City keeps building out and out and out.
Yes.
Yeah, I did notice how big it was.
so anyhow, I just wanted to touch back on the. Sorry, I talk with my hands.
No, it's fine.
So,
we're having to avoid getting close to this. It's giving us a little feedback.
I'm getting over animated.
Yeah, it's okay. Most people don't realize how animated they are until they do these interviews because there's a lot of people who want to emphasize by pounding things or, you know.
Yeah, I don't pound, but my hands fly.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
hands fly.
Right.
Usually to hide my face.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
So anyhow, I just wanted to touch on our homeless population and
Yeah.
and what
I just noticed it was so significant
We've
just
got
being here.
huge camps.
I was surprised at that. Do the police sometimes raid them and jail
Well,
people?
the sad thing is, yes.
Yeah.
And we actually have a homeless outreach
Sure. Like a
unit.
direct team that goes
yes,
in.
a direct team called the Homeless Outreach Unit with the Oklahoma City Police Force.
Okay. That does not sound good, though. That does
Yeah.
not sound like social work that probably people need.
They actually have social workers on the team
Okay. Okay.
that are supposed to be able to help with mental health issues of the team.
Okay.
I don't feel like it is I'm going to name Chief Gorley
Okay.
from the Oklahoma City Police Department because
Yeah.
I don't like Chief Gorley.
Okay.
I feel like he is not a good asset to the Oklahoma City Police Department because he is very anti-mental health.
Oh, wow.
That whole thing.
Well, mental
He-
health is just a thing that people have, though.
Yes.
There's no being anti-mental health except if you want to
he
hurt
doesn't think
people.
it's a good. He doesn't think that mental health is a get out of jail free card type thing. He
Okay.
thinks it's an excuse.
Okay.
He thinks people use it as an excuse.
Well, it sounds like he needs some education or somebody needs to replace him.
yeah, he's one of the
Definitely.
good old boys.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not a
I mean,
fan.
just look at the results.
Right.
Yeah.
look at the results of this kind of policing is that there is a tremendous homeless population whose needs aren't getting met. Here, obviously, people are not getting into appropriate housing, or maybe the bar is too high for them to get into shelters.
Like our church houses what's called it's SISU. It's a LGBTQ youth shelter.
Okay. Oh, wow. Great.
It houses ages 15.
Who put that together?
So it started.
Was it a private nonprofit?
SISU. It is a private nonprofit.
Okay, great.
It started with our church specifically.
I'm going to tell you, I keep meeting
it's-
people who want to start things like that around the country.
Yeah, and now it was started with our church volunteering the space, and then we built the space for in our church basement, and then our church.
So it's actually in your church.
It's in our church basement.
Wonderful.
And I believe we can house 28 people now. 28 youth.
That's a lot.
And they have a full kitchen.
Great.
4 bathrooms. Like 12 washers and dryers.
Great.
All
So
kinds of
what
stuff.
is the disconnect? Are these shelters, I'm just wondering, is there just not enough beds?
There's not.
Is there? Okay.
I mean, and there's.
That
I
sounds
think there's.
that sounds like a housing problem and a mental health care problem.
It's a mental health care problem. And these shelters even allow pets.
Yeah. Oh, great. Good.
I mean, they even have vets on site
Good.
and just everything.
Good.
Going back to SISU, where she was talking
Yeah.
about SISU, there is a mental health agency here in Oklahoma City, Red Rock, and they actually started the gay teens support, and that's where SISU actually originated from.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, one of the
didn't notice
gals
that.
that was involved.
So there was a support group for gay teenagers, and then that morphed into, we really need to have a shelter. Okay,
didn't
wonderful.
realize
Yeah, one of the gals that was a counselor at this mental health
Great.
facility drummed it up. I don't know where she got all her information. She did lots of research, found out how to become a 301c, and then came to our church and
And
so
we
on
built
and so
the space and.
Right.
Yeah, wow, great. That's some pretty heavy activism to have.
It is.
It is.
A homeless shelter in your church.
We love it.
Yeah.
Not to mention we have the food pantry.
Yeah.
Plus, every first of the month we have the big, huge potluck, and all the SISU kids can come
great.
up and do all that.
Great.
They can
And
come
then
up.
So it's-
Marion feeds out of the church.
Oh yeah, and
So
we
it's kind of like almost you're providing a kind of a family situation for them as well, like a lot of
Absolutely.
familial kind of support. That's wonderful.
well, we have a blessing box as well in our church.
Yeah.
Outside the church doors, and one of the families in our church, a couple, a lesbian couple in our church, her and her wife, they're retired school teachers. They serve 2 hot meals a day and 1 sandwich style meal a day.
Okay. Like from a food truck kind of thing? Or?
No, like they go in and cook the meal themselves.
Okay.
Like
Just at their house.
at the church.
Oh, at the church.
They
okay.
come up twice a day to the church to
Oh.
cook this meal.
Oh, wow.
To cook a meal. Her and her wife come up first thing in the morning at like 10
Wow.
o'clock in the morning.
This is
And they have
They're very
helpers.
dedicated.
They also have helpers.
yeah, this is a lot of work.
but the
It
two of
is.
them are there every single day,
That's
7
a lot
days a
of
week.
work.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they've missed 2 days in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
They're very dedicated people.
Yeah.
And we also have a dedicated person who's there every day with the clothes closet.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, you
yeah.
have a clothes
We
closet
have a
too.
clothes
Oh, great.
closet. That's
So you have
one of my
a
passions.
homeless shelter. You feed people twice a day at least, and you have sounds
A food
like
pantry,
food
the
pantry,
clothes closet.
and connected with some mental health care as well. Wow. Wow.
Clothes closet, yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
we the clothes closet we do. We try to do it at least twice a week. Sometimes they do it 3 times a week, but we definitely do it twice a week. And then they let Sisu come in. The Sisu kids come in.
Oh, great.
A 3rd time a week.
Oh, great. Great.
Yeah. So
It
there
serves
are
a lot
other
of people.
there are other clothes closets in different churches throughout Oklahoma City, as well as food pantries.
Yeah.
Throughout Oklahoma City as well.
Yeah. I love it. I love it that churches do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. It's the work.
Yeah.
It's the work.
But like our church does not.
It's client choice.
Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're LGBTQ or cisgendered. You're welcome, no matter who you are or where you are in life's
Right.
journey.
But also to make that extra special welcome to people who are LGBT, that is
Oh my
really
gosh,
special.
yes.
Yeah, because it's often dangerous
It
for
is.
LGBT people to go and seek help. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially in a church situation, but
Yes.
but in churches that are not welcoming. But then also with government agencies, it's
Yes.
also scary. Yeah,
It
totally.
is.
Yeah.
And talking about that, you were talking about, again, going back to the homeless
Sure.
population. The governor. Okay, so let me start. We have an area in Oklahoma City called Bricktown.
Okay.
Bricktown used to be an industrial mecca.
Okay.
It had welding and all kinds of manufacturing companies, and over time, all that died out.
Okay.
As things changed, that died out, and that area started dying down. And so the state put together something they call the MAPS Project. And the MAPS Project originally was voted on to rebuild Bricktown,
Okay.
to build it into an area where people would want to come, because it was all closed down. There was nothing but bricks. Nothing but bricks. So they came in and they got the MAPS project started. They started taking out some of the old buildings that were not usable.
Okay.
The ones that were usable, they left and they modernized and made safe. So the MAPS project came about, and the money for the MAPS project, the governor started deciding that he wasn't putting so much of that there, and some of the money that was coming in from Bricktown was coming into the state, and they were going to use that money for things. And the federal money we get, and the governor of the state started handing money out, gave it to the police department, gave it to the street department, gave it to all these departments, and promised at the time that this money was coming in that it would go towards helping the mental health
Okay.
of the state,
Sure.
helping the homeless, helping the hungry, and all this stuff. And then when it started getting doled out, he took it away from the mental health. Took it away from.
So he lied.
He lied.
So basically, some of your politicians are making the problem worse.
Absolutely.
Wow.
They took the money
Wow.
out of programs that were absolutely needed
Wow.
to put it towards things to build up their pretty city,
Okay.
and then the homeless population just exploded.
Right. Right.
That's the best way to put it.
So they were building up a little kind of an adult playground area with like nice shops and that sort of thing that would appeal to the upper class.
Right?
And they pulled money from homeless and mental health initiatives. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's blatant.
Yeah.
That's blatant. That's
And
so
he stays
terrible.
in office.
Wow. Wow. So speaking of that, are there any Is your legislature doing anything having to do with trans people or abortion or any kind of autonomy
You
and
go with that
privacy
one.
issues?
Yeah, you go with that one.
Yeah.
So, Oklahoma recently enacted the new law, the new abortion law,
Okay.
and took women's rights away from them.
Okay.
To
Do you know some
choose.
details about that?
So I'm not 100%. I can't give you the 100% detail.
Sure. I can link to it.
But I do know that women do not have the right to choose in Oklahoma now.
Okay. Are there any anti-trans bills out there in your legislature?
Yes. The you tell this one.
Okay. So OU Medical Center and Children's Hospital.
Are those the big regional
Yes.
ones? Okay.
Both
One of
have
them.
they have programs that offer services to youth for trans services for
Sure.
the youth that are transgender.
Sure.
It includes puberty blockers, things like that.
Therapy.
Therapy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it is now
Which are approved by the associations of doctors and
Absolutely.
endocrinologists and child psychologists and everybody. Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
However, in Oklahoma, those two clinics no longer get federal money if they continue to offer the services.
Wow.
So they
And
have
your state legislature made that happen. That the money
the
is
money
diverted
they
away
will no
from
longer
there.
yeah, it'll be diverted away and completely taken away. The
Wow.
federal money will.
Wow.
So they no longer offer those services.
Oh my. Oh.
Didn't the governor have something to
Sorry,
do
I was
with
yeah,
about
I
to
can't
swear
remember
there.
the detail who specifically.
I thought it was the governor.
It may have been, but I just know they no longer offer those services
Wow.
because they were losing federal money.
Because of the Republicans here in the
yes,
state.
because of the Republicans in the
Wow.
state of Oklahoma.
Wow, that's terrible.
So they lost. The kids lost their.
People
rights to
talk
that
about
service.
child abuse in terms of trans kids, like as in offering health care to people is somehow child abuse. But what the real child abuse is actually to withhold care from people, right? And that includes kids, right? So this is state oppression of children within Oklahoma. It's child abuse. It's child abuse by the state. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's-
how
Agreed.
awful.
It's sick.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is sick.
I actually have an acquaintance on Facebook. Her child is affected by this.
Okay. What are they doing? Are they going to another state or?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting. Things got better for a while, and now things are getting really bad. Anyway, so how should we end this? What do you guys want to end with? Do you have any, how about advice or something like that, or any messages for other people who are going through this sort of transition as a couple?
Well,
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so so I was wondering, maybe we can end this with kind of one of the issues that you guys brought up about dealing with a partner being trans. Do you have any, advice for other people who might be going through a similar kind of situation? Whether that's, married or unmarried. Yeah. Yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
We've been recording. Yes.
So my advice would be, if you are the spouse of someone who is questioning their gender identity, I would say seek out answers. Don't stifle your partner's questions.
Yeah.
Don't stifle your partner's identity. Not only could it lead to guilt on your part, but it could completely not only sabotage your relationship, but it could lead to suicidal thoughts on your partner's behalf.
Not just thoughts.
And actions.
What's your reply to that? What do you think?
I think what she said is very good. I would say as a transgender person, be patient with your partner. Give them time to think. Give them time to research. They might say, I'm not so sure about that right away, but give them a chance to understand what you need.
Yeah.
Be very open to their questions. Don't get offended by their questions.
Yeah.
And give them a chance to talk to others. Give them a chance to research. If you know of organizations that can help them out, share that with them.
Yeah.
If you know of support groups that you can go to together, take the first step. Say, this is what can help. This, I think, would help us. I think it would be good for us to go see what they have to offer and ask questions we might have and don't know the answers to.
Yeah.
And just remember, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. Right. It's confusing. It can be confusing.
And don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work out. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of transition in marriages too. I mean, different kinds of transitions.
True.
You know, and sometimes a marriage doesn't survive different kinds of things happening.
Yeah.
Whether that's job loss or some economic hit or something, you know, there's all kinds of things that happen. Yeah.
Don't make your partners feel guilty. Don't use good old-fashioned guilt to try and make them let you be who you want to be. You be you. They've got to be them. Find a way to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is work.
It is.
It
Yeah.
is.
But it's worth it.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best
Well, I can
friends
tell. I mean,
first.
you guys are such a great couple.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
We've had a lot to learn about each other, about ourselves, and we've had a lot to learn about how to make the two work.
Yeah.
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 And what started out with no way is almost 20 years now.
Yeah, yeah. And you're
right.
part of this kind of an activist community with the hugs, and then you know, a church that is super active, that is almost, you know, making up for the deficiencies and the harassment from the local governments, you know, that are, you know, ignoring people in need, you know. I mean, you guys are doing some good work, and your church. I love it. I love it.
I want to say one last thing.
Yeah.
Your family. Give them a chance. If, as you go through your transitions, you're changing. They're not seeing their child anymore, but they're thinking that used to be my child, but we're still your child.
Yeah.
Give them a chance. If they become abusive in any way, whether it's emotional, mental, or physical,
Yes.
sometimes to be the best you have to walk away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No one has to put up with abuse. Nobody. Yep. All right. Let's end it there. I love it. I had, you know, I come to these interviews and I know nothing about the interviewees, and I just love it that, you know, your partner is here and that you have like this deep story that just spans, you know, a couple generations, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a real long journey for you, and, you know, lots of trials and tribulations, but you guys have really, you've done
we haven't
it.
even talked about my kids, our kids.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and how they accepted her, and
Yeah.
she's the mom, and I'm the pop. And,
Okay, all right,
So,
yeah.
you know, there's a whole lot to it.
Yeah. Well, that's the next interview.
So much fun.
That's the next interview. Anyway, so thank you so much for meeting with me.
Thank
yeah.
you.
I love it. I love it. I love it that so much cool activism is happening here.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Shane, for what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. All right. All right. Good night, y'all.
Good
Good night.
Good night from the center of the country. Yeah.